Hello. So this is the video that I promised with the wife, capital T, capital T, capital W, the wife. All right, that's the cat. You don't ask her questions.
Well, currently the cat, but
She'll look at you. Yeah, that
there.
cat, and she goes, "Meow," and that's the end of it. So this is on the friend zone. Does it exist? Does it not? Now we are not sure. Normally I'm like, yes, this is so, this is this, and this is that, and that's the other thing.
And here's the research, but...
And here's where you go to look for more. This week...
There's not a whole lot of research to do on the friend zone, so...
Well, there's lots. That's the problem.
But no one's really done it. And it's all been, you know, what's the word I'm looking for?
Anecdotal.
Anecdotal, and, you know, personal opinion, not really weighable, not really measurable. Makes it a little hard to do actual research.
However, we are intelligent people, and we are geeks, and let's face it, the friend zone, despite what movies would have you believe, okay, I've not really been outside of geek culture, but it seems very prevalent and spoken of amongst geeks and the emo and nerds and whatever, the disenfranchised, the fringe.
Let's put it this way.
We all hang out together.
How many teenage videos have you seen where the best friend has had a thing for the leading chick for so very long, and it's not until 3/4 of the way through the movie that, you know, he breaks out of the friend zone and they get a relationship. And that's I think that's one of those things that Hollywood is perpetuating, and it's not healthy for anybody.
By the way, for those of us who, for those of you who'd like to look at Much Ado About Nothing. It has friend zone.
Lots.
It has friend zone. Shakespeare had friend zone.
So
it's been a question for a long time.
The myth has perpetuated itself for centuries.
We ain't gonna solve it today.
No.
But we can give you some thoughts.
Yes. Being the female in this, we are usually the ones accused of being the friend zoners, the ones who put guys like him into the friend zone.
And when I was younger, I thought that happened.
And let's face it, I actually tried to put him in the friend zone. Didn't work, obviously, married. But that was the first time that I really had it come up for me as to whether or not the friend zone really existed. I'd seen lots of comics about it. You know, everybody's seen that giant cliff where there's stick people on the bottom that are men trying to clamber up to get out of the friend zone. And there's one chick on the top, and she's talking to one guy and then pushes him off into the friend zone. That's pretty standard for what everyone thinks of as the friend zone. Realistically, I don't think that's what it is.
It's a very much more complicated, very nuanced thing. I'm not good at nuance. I see it as 3 separate categories with some sort of play between, but two ends of a spectrum. And I tend to think of it for ease of my own thoughts and not for any scientific or absolutist range, just for me to help make sense of the world and click things into categories. Gee, I wonder if I'm an Aspie. As friend and sex for people that talk about this. And who don't have, you know, consistent relationships. For example, she's my best friend. I have sex with her. I'm married to her. This would not qualify into that sort of realm of thinking. I think of people as either people who don't have a lot of relationships, don't have a lot of romantic relationships or sex. Okay, but they friend zone a lot of people, but they don't have a lot of romantic relationships. And then there's people who have a lot of romantic relationships and have a lot of sex, and then sort of in between. It's very weird to think about. Basically, you'll see that person who can't get laid and has a lot of friends, and you'll see that person that can get laid and has friends and just hasn't made that connection. You'll see that person that has seemingly romantic relationships with friends and then sleeps with bad people. I hate to say this. There was a term I was thrown around in high school. It's sort of, unfortunately, I'm on the edge of seeing something and I can't quite describe it. There used to be this derogatory term called fag hag, and it actually made it into psychological journals because there was a kind of woman, specifically a woman. I don't know if it happened with men. I'm suspecting it did. I just don't. What it was a woman who had romantic relationships with homosexual men and had sexual relationships with heterosexual men. And the men in this equation tended to have homosexual sex with other men because they were homosexual, but had romantic relationships with women. And
I don't think that quite qualifies in this category.
yeah, but it feels like it's on the edge of the same kind of circle, at least to my mind.
Okay, and then female perspective on that, I think you have people who are friends with guys who are, or guys or girls who are attracted to them, but they're not attracted to them, and I think that's where the friend zone occurs. And then there are those who the person is attracted to, and they're attracted to that person, but they haven't had a relationship, and that's just bad timing. So I think that the theory of where friend zone exists is where it's unacknowledged on one side or the other as to whether or not the attraction exists. Friendship,
lack of communication,
yeah.
Lack of honesty, honestly. And that's happened. I've noticed a lot of guys who go, I always get friend zoned. She friend zoned me.
Did you ask her to fuck?
Yeah. Did you honestly? It's like, well, I never said this series was safe for work. What I would ask them is, were you honest about your intentions for romance? Let's never mind the sex. Like, I wanted to sleep there. There are those guys too. But let's just put that sex and romance into the same question. Did you want it to go farther than basic friendship? If the answer is yes, were you clear about that?
For instance, there are those guys who are the best friend of the chick, and they'll buy her flowers, they'll take her out to dinner.
She doesn't get what this is going for.
Yeah, at that point, the guy that's thinking that he's being friend-zoned needs to explain things like you would to an Aspie.
Because she's gotten used to it. That's what normal is.
That's what her regular point is.
That's their relationship. Okay, fine.
You have
And
to break out of that box.
I think the legend of the guy breaking through, was honestly just him finally getting a clue. Same for the woman, and saying his mind. And the other person goes, "Wait a minute, you wanted to have a relationship? I wanted to have a relationship. I thought you weren't interested, so we just became friends." But they never put in Hollywood where the guy or girl goes, "I could have had you."
Actually,
as more?
It has.
I'm a moron. But
that has in fact happened. Usually,
and then
it's
they
not
live
quite
happily
as
ever after
verbose on that, but
at least for a few months. And then honestly, sometimes it's like some women are just used to getting treated well, and they think that all men should treat them that way. There are not nice women out there. Same as there's assholes and bitches.
Yep.
It's the same personality trait. It just matters are they men or women?
You got.
Yeah.
And even then, not so much. There are guys who are bitches and women who are assholes.
But still, it expresses. But you know that woman, the user kind of the person who uses other people. Men and women do it. It's human.
Yeah.
But yeah, does friend zone? I've friend zoned 2 women. If you want to look at it from what classic definition of what a friend zone is, I knew they wanted more.
He said no.
I said no. In one case, I knew she wanted more, but I was horny. And I slept with her. I realized she thought we were in a relationship, and I pretended like I was stupid. I did a guy thing. I didn't realize. Oh, why would you come up here? And then she ran off, sort of in tears. And the other one was
not advised.
Not advised. And the other one was that she pushed on me to try to sleep with me, and I was pretty sure she wanted more, and she wore me down. I was young and horny, and
Oddly, how that keeps coming out.
Yes, I have admitted in this series before that I went through a series of one night stands. I was 26 when I had my first romantic relationship. It was eye opening. See, I could make friends and I could get laid,
But he couldn't make the
but I
connection.
couldn't make that connection, and it was frustrating because I wanted to, and I swore off. Here's the thing: I could have probably had 20 or 30 partners. I was good looking, as my stepdad once said, you're good looking enough and you're well spoken enough that you could get a woman into bed easily within a few days. It was past that you sort of broke down, and that's true. That was absolutely true, and I gave up on that, and maybe that's what led to me being better, was just being determined enough to get through it. And I'd only had a few years at that. By the time I was 26, I'd had a few years to work on the fact I was an Aspie, but there was a good 5 years where I was going around just getting laid because I could. I don't admit to being the best person.
Okay.
I was young and stupid.
As to the friend zone, we've given you our anecdotes on the matter. We're not entirely sure if it exists. That's something that is going to be a myth that's going to perpetuate as long as humanity does.
Hashtag not all guys. That's a stupid hashtag.
And if
That
we ever see
argument's
any of you
stupid.
people posting it,
We will make fun of you.
yes, we will ridicule you. I have no problem
Harshly.
with some guys being nice guys. I have no problem with some guys being assholes. But if you post the not always guys, I personally will find you and ridicule you.
It will be funny. You won't like it. Ever people will. Have a good day.